Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rob Has a Podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here tonight on a Thursday night for the Final Four Eviction episode recap. And with me to talk through the eviction we just saw, it's Maggie. How you doing, Maggie?
Hi, Taran. I'm good. I actually got like a DM. I feel like I shouldn't have gotten it. That was saying that like Chantele was going to be on the podcast tonight.
Oh,
and I think that
Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie, we're live.
We're live. Yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
Well, Chantele is in fact here. I don't know how Maggie knew, but Chantele is also joining us tonight. Chantele, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. That was my favorite part of the episode, and I had to wait through the entire thing to get there. But obviously, I love talking Big Brother with you both. So happy this is probably my last one. And yeah, well, let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. Of course, we did see in this episode, alternate Ava was evicted by Vinny the Lips vote. We got a lot of stuff in this episode. We got a Keanu interview. We had an HOH competition, a nomination ceremony, a veto competition, a veto ceremony, and a live eviction, plus then an Ava interview. So plenty to talk about. But let's just start with what was the probably wildest part of the night, which was what Maggie was just referencing. So we get this as soon as Ava leaves the house.
Yeah, I had accidentally received a message I shouldn't have about a girl named Ava being an alternate.
I think we're still live.
Oh, you're right. I think we are.
That is too good.
So good.
Also, I feel like it's the perfect encapsulation of just like Morgan and Vince, and they're like, Taran's been saying it for days now. Like, why don't you just say stuff you don't want on the feeds during the music in the morning? You just can't help yourself. You have to spill all your secrets when you're literally live.
Which is the thing, because if anyone wants further clarification on this, this is something she has alluded to on the feeds, but didn't want to say out loud because she would get in trouble for it. And so she literally waited until the moment Ava left the house and apparently thought this was a great opportunity to now spill the secret. So she has been talking about how she suspects that Ava is the accomplice. And she had secret production reasons why she felt that that was the case. So we now have further clarification that she got a text about a girl named Ava who was an alternate for the season. And she believes that Ava being an alternate points to her very likely being the accomplice. And add that to the fact that we saw during Ava's exit interview that Ava actually held a house meeting today to call out Vinny. I'm betting that the context with which she brought this up as soon as Ava left the house was the fact that she had just done this big call out house meeting, and Vinny was probably like, I don't even know what she's talking about. And she's probably like, well, maybe this was like one more accomplice thing she had to do. I have a reason to think she's the accomplice. We'll wait to tell you though. I'll have to wait to tell you. And then as soon as she walked out the door, she was like, so this is why I thought she was the accomplice. And then they go, I think we're still alive.
Now, do you think it could be possible that the text said Amy and not Ava, and it just, she's mind morphed it?
I think she probably wasn't an alternate. Not the accomplice, obviously, but it probably was just that she was an alternate. And they screwed up and they sent Morgan a text about Ava.
It's wild that she would get the text, though. And then she would talk about it during the show at all. Like, I don't know. It's just not something I'd probably bring up. Mm-hmm.
I also think, like, if that's true, Taran, and Vince is like, I don't know what she's talking about. And Morgan's like, well, it probably has to do with, and she has this long convoluted story in her head rather than just being like, yeah, Vince probably said that to Ava. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Morgan, come on, my ultimate crash out girl. Like, come
Maggie, Taylor just needs to talk to you and explain that it's exactly what anybody else would have done. You okay? If Taylor will explain it to you.
on. Oh my gosh, Jesus. I mean, look, the thing is about Morgan is that like her crash outs are always about something that like there's really no reason to crash out about it. But there is reason to crash out in general, but like the specific thing that she's focused on is not really like the heart of the issue. So if this tells us anything, like tonight tomorrow morning, Taran, you're going to be recapping how in bed they were talking about how Morgan's really in her head about the fact that she said that Ava said that she wouldn't want to talk to Vinny ever again after this, and that he wouldn't contact her. Like, and that will be what the crash out is about.
Well, before we get any further, of course, I want to let you all know that tonight's podcast is brought to you by Pluto TV. Of course, where you can watch the feeds for free. So make sure you check out Pluto TV. We'll talk more about it later. But yeah, I mean, wild stuff about I cannot believe they weren't like on the button, because they didn't even cut like after the fact either. They really just like let it hang out.
And Morgan was silent. She was just like,
Just
right over here.
Yeah, I had accidentally received a message I shouldn't have about a girl named Ava being an alternate.
I think we're still live.
Oh. You're right. I think we are.
We had two different interviews by Julie. The first one was Keanu. The second one, of course, being Ava. I guess we're on Ava already. We should talk a little more about her. We did see, so on the feeds today, Ava was planning this call out, including "Don't do it for a man what he wouldn't do for you," and she rehearsed that with Ashley, so it was very funny to watch Ashley act surprised that she said it. But she had been planning this thing. The feeds went down, and we didn't get to see it. And so I was wondering if we would. We do have a little bit of precedent for this in Big Brother 21 when Jackson and Tommy got into it. I do believe we saw a bit from the post feeds shutdown in the episode that same night. However, it seemed like they were going to skip past it. Instead, they did something that I thought was actually pretty clever, which is they waited for her exit interview to put it in there, because it revealed that she knew she was leaving, which, you know, would have spoiled the eviction theoretically, and was something they could ask her directly about. And it's not something they had to slot into the normal edit. They could just interrupt her interview time, which, you know.
Thank you. Yes.
So I thought this was very fun. We get to see this house meeting stuff. And basically what happened was Vinny had been stringing Ava along all week, as he does for no particular reason, saying he's absolutely willing to, this is what I need to do in order to differentiate my game from Morgan, is I need to do something on my own, you know, play my own game for once, Ava. I mean, I need to keep you and get rid of Ashley. And then she keeps coming back and asking, like, so are we doing this? What are we doing? He's like, you know, I just need to think about it a little bit, you know? And today, finally, he was like, yeah, I just think that I can't evict Ashley because I need to take her to the final two, because she's the only one I can beat if the jury's not bitter. And so so Ava, upon hearing this, was like, all right, you know what? Screw it. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to try to take Vince down with me, and I'm going to tell Morgan everything that he's been saying. And so that was what led to that house meeting.
Good girl, Ava. Good girl, Ava.
But it took like 80 days for her to like start doing something active when she's already dead in the water. It's just so frustrating. I wish that she was just playing the game at all. Like even like 10% of what she gave us the last day.
Chantele, I have an unpopular opinion that people aren't going to like.
She has been playing this whole time.
I mean, I think that she floated, like she was playing a floater game. Like sleeping. I do. I think that you can absolutely say that, but I've always thought that she played a pretty classic floater game. And the only reason the audience really soured on her is because of all of her crap talking about Rachel after the elimination. But I always felt like the reason that she did that, like her logic for that, was kind of sound for the game that she was playing, and wanting to kind of pass off the blame on someone else. I don't like what happened. I don't think that it ended up working out for her in the end. I think that she needed to have been more active in her floating, but I do think she played a very classic floater game. In order to play a good and winning floater game, you have to have, like you have to be way more.
There's no intention in her game, so I don't know if it could be a classic floater game. Like she wasn't doing that; she was just doing nothing and just coasting by. I would say more so than intentionally floating.
I think that you could say that Ava was riding the line of floater versus coaster for sure. But I do think that if I had to make it, if I was her lawyer, I could come up actually with a case for her that she did play a floater game. I'm sorry, everybody. I know this is like a super unpopular opinion.
I object.
I know this is a super
no basis, Your Honor.
But I felt it this whole time. I've been like, I know people aren't liking Ava personally because of like how she soured on everybody, but I actually don't think that I do see what she was trying to do. I don't know.
I'm with you, Maggie.
Okay. I am. Thank you. I have someone defending me.
Here's the thing. Ava she tried hard this week. She was pulling Vince into rooms like as often as possible and trying to keep it a secret as much as possible, trying everything she had in her toolbox. She was threatening jury votes. She was saying, if you keep me one more round, I will guarantee you myself and Will as jury votes. Like she was pulling anything out of the bag she could. Was it effective? Obviously not, but she was trying. And she did have moments earlier on in the season as well where she was doing well at various points. Here's the thing though. I agree, Maggie, that she is ultimately a floater. But I think the frustration came not only from the Rachel stuff, but also because when things started to not go her way, she threw a fit and gave up for a while.
Yes.
And blamed it on the nature of the game and how everyone's a snake in here and they're all fake. And she just kind of like threw over the game board and went home to her bed and just like laid around for a while, having given up. And it wasn't until recently that she started being like, wait, should I try again? And so I think that's where the confusion comes in, because a lot of the like more recent perspective on Ava comes from that period of time where she really did just kind of flip over the game board and complain constantly. But I can see also, Maggie, where you're coming from, where like definitely earlier on in the season, and I would even say this week, she fought a lot harder than a lot of people do at the Final Four in better spots than she's been in. So you definitely have to give her something. We're both there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that she was an amazing player or she would like. I'm not like here. I'm not an Ava stan by any means, but I do. I have
appreciate
felt
that
like
she was floating.
Yeah, I feel like she actually was intentional with what she was doing a lot of the time, and I agree with what you're saying, Taran. She did give up for a while and did go to bed for several weeks and was like, "This sucks. I don't want to be here anymore," basically. But I also do like. I think that those were those weeks, but before and after, like she knew how to play a good floater game.
She dog walked Vince on multiple votes early season, genuinely.
I'm sorry, game recognizes game, and I can see what she was trying to do. It didn't work out for her because she had no follow through, and that's the thing. Like people think that floating is the easy way to win. Like people think that that's like an easy way to play. That's an incredibly hard way to play. It's like one of the hardest ways to win Big Brother, in my opinion, because of situations like this, because it is really hard to maintain a floater game the entire season. And like, I'm not saying that she was talented enough at Big Brother and being a floater to have won. I am just saying that let's not act like she was doing nothing. That's it.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'm saying is that I wish that the action that she's put in this week, she's trickled in a little bit more in the earlier season, part of the season, because I think that she could have had things maybe go in her favor a little bit better now. Like she's kind of was dead in the water at this time when she's trying to make things happen. And she had a lot more agency and a lot more numbers that she could be pulling in. She had a lot more people that are willing to work with her that she was voting with, that she didn't really utilize her opportunities for being in a good position as a floater.
Yeah, and ultimately her game crashes and burns at the White Locust, right?
Yes.
And that's true of a lot of people's games, and a lot of it not super fair. But Ava is one of the few people you can sort of blame for her own outcome. You know, there's absolutely a world where she does choose Rachel first, and Rachel still leaves. But the fact that she chose Vinny should have led to a Rachel eviction, if not for the strong game Rachel had to have Morgan get in there and then pick her, which should have saved her. And so you can absolutely blame Ava for tanking her game, because not only did she indirectly cause Rachel's eviction, or could have caused Rachel's eviction, but even on top of that, it was her complaining about it afterward that really sunk her, because she was like, oh no, they were trying to talk to me about game, get out of my face. And she just had that attitude, that, you know, take my ball and go home attitude for so long, that she lost all of her actual like ins. She's the only place she had left to go was with Lauren and Kelly. And that didn't work out very well because she had no sway anywhere else at that point. So you know, I do think she is over criticized as a player at the moment, but it's not like there's a ton that she should be recognized for.
I also think like the way Locust stuff, like if she was a talented floater, she would have had the foresight to understand that picking Vince in that moment was not the move. But because she was just like basic level BB floater, she was like, I don't want to get blamed for any of this. So who can take the blame for this? Great. I'll throw it on Vince. Like, I understand that logic. It was not the correct logic, but people who are like, and why would she do that? Like, she explained it in the episode. She explained why she did it. It wasn't the right choice for her. But like, I think that.
But almost anybody other than Vince would have been a better choice for her, which is what's wild.
He's the only one who raised his hand. He's the one who raised his hand in that moment and wasn't like, I don't know. Maybe I am gonna now sound like too much of an Ava defender, but like that has just been my perspective. The back half of this season is like, I think that we have short memories and forget that like she's the reason Riley got voted out. She was the swing vote there. Like she was one of the swing votes. She's the reason that Vince and Zach didn't vote out. Who was it in like
Adrian.
week 3? Yeah, Adrian. Like
that. Sorry, it was
that is like she was doing stuff. I don't know. That's my thought.
Well, she does get this interview. I don't want to be too mean, but like it was a little funny to me that she was trying to do a Kelly with the audience, and they just weren't coming along with Ava. But there was one moment in this interview that I really enjoyed, which was Julie saying, let's look at your goodbye messages. And Ava going, oh, okay. And turning her head in the complete, like at the screen, like, you know how they show pictures of them as they walk out that she's like turning her face to that screen, and Julie has to go
right over here, over my shoulder.
She's never seen the show.
Ava, over my shoulder.
Right over here, over my shoulder.
It's gonna be so overwhelming to sit out there.
Oh man, I liked it. I thought it was fun. So we saw 2 separate sets of goodbye messages, of course, but they were all pretty similar. It was a lot of Morgan being like, so I've been working in this alliance called the Judges, and then also saying something nice about the person, and then Vince being like, I was working in an alliance called the Judges. And then Ashley being like, I'm sorry, I've been working with some people. I've been doing my thing, and you had to go. I'm sorry. And I think it's very funny because Vince is basically doing exactly what Morgan is telling him to do with his goodbye messages, which is like, the judges will explain everything. It will justify every move you've made, Lauren, Ava. It will explain everything away. And I didn't really think he was buying that, but his goodbye messages are telling me he is. That he's like, so you thought that I was playing Morgan's game, but really I've been in an alliance called the Judges with all of Morgan's allies and keeping them safe. That's why I'm playing Morgan's game.
Morgan is too much. Her being like, the judges will explain. Like, it's just so good. It's mwah.
But like, I get it though, but you'd think that he would still sprinkle in a little bit of ways that he was connecting with these people, and so that he would be favored more than the other judges would be. But no.
You would think. And you would also think that he wouldn't lie to Ava until hours before the eviction, because why? But it is as Vince is. We also got goodbye messages for Keanu. So I want to talk about Keanu's interview as well. Keanu's interview, very interesting to me because he's been to the jury house and has come back. And so assuming this is the first time he's seeing these goodbye messages, that has a significant impact on the way he's viewing them. Because when Morgan and Vince are telling him about the Judges Alliance, he's stone-faced. He knows already. He's been told in the jury house. They are not the first people to tell him. And I don't think that's something that as a player you could have possibly anticipated. You expect the goodbye messages to be shown to you immediately after you're evicted, which is not always the case, and you shouldn't assume that. You should not be relying on goodbye messages to convey any information, because you are not in control of the goodbye messages. They cut your goodbye messages to what they want them to be. So if you have important information or a way to sell a story that you need to tell to somebody, it does have to be prior to their eviction, which is very difficult, obviously, because they could use it against you. But it's why it's really important, if you do have those opportunities, to sell those stories. And if you have an ally who knows they're going home, to give them information to convey to other jury members that you might not have been able to in goodbye messages. And on top of that, we are now seeing in this spot, they specifically said, we are not going to tell Ava about the judges until after she leaves in the goodbye messages. Obviously, this works for Ava because they are the ones to reveal it to Ava, but it did not work to Keanu. Rachel and Will were the ones, I assume, who were able to tell Keanu about the judges, and their perspective on that alliance is what he believes to be true now, not the one that, they tried to give him in goodbye messages.
Yeah. And go ahead, Chantele.
No, I was just going to say, so you don't think that they would have showed him the goodbye messages, then maybe taken them out to the jury house, and then he's pretending to see them for the first time live tonight?
It's possible, but why would you do that? Why would you film him reacting for the first time and then not show it, and then film him reacting for a second time and show that one? You know what I mean?
It's just odd, but I guess we can't expect to have the regular pattern. Yeah.
And I do agree with you, Taran. Like, if you're on the show, you can't rely on that, because I don't love that Keanu went to the jury house and this is the first time he's seeing the goodbye messages, but also I'm not like, oh, Big Brother production, how could you do that to the contest? That's just so it's not a common function of the game where you get voted out, you have a vote, you have a veto, you know what I mean? It's not in the game rules that you leave and sit down and immediately see your goodbye message.
Also, even just thinking about it in these terms, right? If Keanu were to see these goodbye messages first, and he's hearing from Vince and Morgan, hey, we've been in this alliance called the Judges, we've been playing this game the whole time. Then he goes to the jury house and he says, oh, they told me about the judges. And they go, oh, they told you about that? Yeah, that was the whole thing. We started it the week that, Riley was on the block. And, it was me and Ashley that did it. That's one way of learning that information. The other way of learning that information is Keanu goes to the jury house and he talks to Will and Rachel, and they say, "Oh, we were in this thing called the Judges Alliance. Obviously, that's broken because 2 of us are gone." But Will says, "Yeah, Ashley and I made it to try to keep Morgan safe against Riley. Basically, like we made this alliance." And then Keanu goes to this interview and he hears Morgan and Vince proudly proclaim, "We've been in this alliance called the Judges," and now it kind of feels like, wow, okay, Ashley, like you really order of operations does kind of matter potentially. I also thought it was interesting that in Ashley's goodbye message, she says, "It's not a coincidence that I'm here. I've been working with basically everyone else in the house," followed by them being like, "We're in the Judges Alliance," which I thought was, again, a good order of operations for her in that sense. What I thought was worth noting was he did nod along to Ashley saying that. Could mean absolutely nothing. You often just nod along by default. But knowing that he's been in the jury house, you can't help but try to pick up any kind of breadcrumbs. This could be an indication that, along with his exit interviews that did speak fairly highly about Ashley's game and her intelligence, that he is buying what she's selling in this goodbye message, and that she does actually have at least a solid chance against a player like Vince, of course, which, against Morgan, that's another story probably, but something I thought was interesting.
I also want to say, I think Vince might cut Morgan in the final, based off of his DRs from tonight.
Well, he did say in his DR, it will get us one step closer to sitting in the final 2 together.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, the way he was talking in the DR, I was like, whoa, I never would have thought that he would have been saying that. Like, I'm like, Morgan used that Ava dog walk Vince in the votes. Morgan's been dog walking Vince for the past 3 weeks. Like, I thought there was no shot in heck, that he was going to cut her. And the way he was talking in the DR, I was like, maybe he will. I don't know.
I mean,
one bad joke, and I lose $750,000. All I did was joke about how Lauren would be a better alliance partner than Morgan, or just as good at the very least. All I did was joke about how I would be better off if Morgan wasn't here. It's just a bad joke.
Well, do you know, sometimes though, don't they get people to say both sides of like what happens? Like, I know in Drag Race, they'll put the different winners, potential winners, so like nobody knows who actually won, for spoiler wise. So could they be doing that in the diary room, getting him to say like, "Oh, if this, talk about this scenario and then talk about this particular scenario," so it looks like it's authentically coming from him?
I think he. Again, I think most likely he is taking her. Obviously, there's always a chance that he doesn't. But I did think it was interesting that in his diary room during the Final 4 veto, he specifically said, like, this will get us one step closer to sitting in the final 2 chairs together, as though that were the obvious goal. Now, I've said before, I think there's a very good chance that if he was planning to cut her, he would lie in the diary room and to the cameras about it, because that's what he does. Because if he doesn't end up winning the final 3 HOH, he doesn't want any evidence that he would have cut her, because he will lie and say he never would have. But I do still think he plans to take her. But again, you never really know.
I mean, that would be insane if he was like a big moment.
Chantele, that would be crazy. And I would not put it past him. He's diabolical. Like, it's crazy. It would be crazy.
And then the question becomes, like, does he even win after doing that?
He wouldn't.
We don't actually know.
I don't think so. Morgan might actually be furious and like just like out of spite not vote for him.
I think Morgan would vote for him.
You think?
I think so. We saw this in the episode. Ashley has this conversation with Morgan right after the veto was won, where she's hyping up the fact that she's a guaranteed win in the end. I detailed this in the update a couple days ago. It was a very impressive conversation from Ashley and really did get Morgan's mind spinning. In that conversation, Morgan agreed with the fundamental premise, which was that Ashley's a guaranteed beat. and that it would be a smart thing to do to take her. And that she would hope that if she did make that decision, Vince would understand, because if he did the same to her, she would understand. And so I think she'd be pissed. I think she'd be super hurt about it. And here's the thing too, we also have to consider the fact that if he does cut her, he will be lying to her up until the moment he does it. And that could make her pissed off, even though she would have been fine with it otherwise. So that's worth considering as well.
Oh my gosh, it would be Netta and John 2.0. Like literally.
They don't know who that is.
Netta and John 2.0 if one of them was actually Sabrina.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see that.
All right. So we of course did talk more with Keanu. I thought this was a fun interview. I actually kind of liked the fact that he had been to jury and had a few days to decompress from the eviction. I felt like the interview was a lot more interesting that way. Like, it wasn't just your typical like, yeah, so I guess I got evicted. I guess they voted for me. It's yeah, everything you're saying, I already knew it. Obviously, I knew it. I didn't say anything about it because I didn't think it was, worth saying, but I knew the information you're telling me, Julie. But yeah, I guess I'm the real winner because I kept my integrity. It's just like, it wasn't that. It was instead a man who has clearly spent a lot of time reflecting, talking to Rachel, and is like, yeah, really screwed up a lot of times. Trusted a lot of people I shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. There was just some reason I kept trusting Vince and Riley and Jimmy and Zach and Adrian.
And Zay?
Some reason. There's some reason. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it was something there.
He snuck Kelly in there and then was like, well, but also like, she didn't really betray me the way those guys did.
If only he knew.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that it actually is. I agree that it's a little more interesting having perspective when you're coming and doing these interviews. It's kind of like even in Survivor, like I loved how they had 3 months. They watched the whole season back and then they came and then they had the final time to like talk about it and they could reflect on like, oh, what I understood, what I knew. And then they were hearing about, no, this is what really happened. I agree. It's a little more enriched conversation that you're having. And it's from like a more informed perspective. So I agree. I enjoyed it more than the regular after exit interview.
Can I also rant for a moment?
Yeah,
about Julie's interview with Ava? When she asks a question, and I don't have the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like, Ava, you were really well liked in the house, played such an honest game, super popular. Do you think that's the reason why they evicted you?
Objection, leading the witness.
Right? Excuse me?
Yeah, you should think that would have been a flagged question.
That's such a direct, like interference with current players in the house. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's
like
wild. I don't think you get that
reason into her mind about why they evicted her that helps confirm the reasons that they were saying to her, even though those weren't fully the reasons why they did it. It's weird.
Can I rant about something?
Ooh.
Yes.
And it's not really like, we've been talking equitable comps this whole season, talking about that, Morgan dominating this end game. These two competitions require the same skill set, for the record. A skill set I know is the same because I don't have that skill set. You need to be able to look at something 3D, like in your mind, rotate it, figure out the moves like that you may need to make before. The same ability that you have to be able to move around that dice in your head to know where it needs to land is the same skill you need to be able to complete a slide puzzle. So
sorry, Maggie, you're just not a gamer girl.
And I guess I'm not good at coding.
You don't have that brain.
there's a lot of the skills in coding, and I would be terrible at both of those competitions. And it's no surprise to me that Morgan won both of those competitions because they require the same skill set. And I'm not like, I'm not ranting and being like, it's unfair. Like, that's not how I feel. I'm just saying those are the same skill set. Like, they had two competitions back to back where, like, yes, it was a day's competition, but it was a slide puzzle. You know?
I really like that competition though, like personally, because I like slide puzzles and like I like figuring out how to make that work. So I would say I enjoy that day's comp more than I enjoyed the cube. The cube was too physical, like to make it that fun. But yeah, I like the day's one.
Literally, the first round of the cube comp, Ava had only just managed to move her die one spot. And she looked over and Morgan had finished.
Wow.
Even after Ava figured out the correct optimal strategy for moving the die, she was nowhere close. And it's not like Ava is Suri or Felicia. You know what I mean? She's not like, she's a 20-something woman who is like perfectly capable of winning something that is like she's not like she could have won the slide puzzle. Like, it's not like she couldn't have, like, whereas like if Felicia or Suri were competing at that slide puzzle, like, let's be real, I don't care how well they know the puzzle or the days, they're still not beating Morgan or really anybody. But this die competition, Morgan was exhausted afterward. She said it was extremely upper body heavy. It was clearly meant for Keanu, who had been talking about this competition all season long, and they decided to bring it back after like almost 10 years. And it's just like, what? This Final Four HOH used to be classic before or after. You step up, you step down, you answer a question. Then sometimes it became a what the bleep. Also very fun. Also led to a massive upset HOH when JC won in BB20, like all kinds of fun Final Four upset HOHs. And it's just what are we doing
They've
here?
They've done endurance comps for the Final Four HOH. They did on BB11. It was the slip and slide. They did in BB21. It was the spinning discs. Like, they've done endurance for that. I don't want to say, like, me saying that these are the same skill set. Like, clearly not, because it was super physical. Like, I want to give Morgan her flowers for this. Like, she's awesome
Strong
at these competitions. She's freaking so, and like I really like props to her, and I'm rooting for my girl. But like I just wanted to point out that like the physical part combined with the
moving things in space, in your
the
mind.
3D thing. Yeah.
Well, I am complaining about the dice competition being the Final Four HOH.
Yeah.
Especially on top of the fact that the previous few competitions were also very difficult. The previous HOH was holding up a heavy thing that used to be more equitable and is now not. It's the same problems all the time. There's a reason why every single season we're getting the same result, which is one or two competitors winning all of the competitions. I talk about the details of how that happens, but all you need to do is just look at the end result. If every single season the same thing is happening and it's the same three, I literally, it was like 4 weeks ago, I was on this podcast and I said, well, if it goes anything like the last 4 seasons, there will be 3 people or 2 or 3 people left in the game that will win all of the rest of the competitions. And it'll go, Morgan, Vince, Keanu, Morgan, Vince, Keanu, Morgan, Morgan, Vince, Vince, Morgan, Morgan, Morgan. And then in this episode, Vinny's like, how does this sound? Vince HOH, Morgan, Vince, Morgan, Morgan, Vince, Morgan. I'm like, yeah, that's how it always goes. It's how it just happens. And it's pretty frustrating for me because I would love to see a wider variety of competition because I think it makes the game more interesting. Now, that said, I think that they have done something else that is good this season, which is truncate the final parts of the season. So even though the competitions have been won by all the same people, we don't have to sit in this mess. We don't have to sit in this moldy water for very long. And so it's not as bad. We get to wash it right off like Ashley did.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be really frustrating though if I was Ava and Ashley, who are they're not crazy physical like Morgan is, but like they're still in shape. And so I'd be like, man, like if I didn't have these two super physical people or three physical people like with Keanu in the game, I might have a shot at this. And it just would be like kind of just defeating and deflating, just to be like, yeah, chances are I can't win this game, because the last 10 competitions are likely going to be something that somebody in the house is better at than I am. So yeah, I feel bad for the contestants as well.
So listen to me. Clip this. Ready? Put this everywhere on social media. If you are going to play Big Brother, and if you are not great at the competitions, from the very first eviction, you need to be evicting people who can beat you in these competitions. You just need to. You need
literally
to. That
every given opportunity. Yeah.
That should be your number one focus. So that you have any chance when you get to the end, when you get to that end game, that you have even a slight possibility. Like if Ashley was able to be in the final four with Will, with Ava, and with like even one other, like, and Vince,
Rachel,
like then, yeah, like there would be at least some shot that she would have to get that, you know what I mean? So I think that people just need to focus from the very beginning on who is this person? Can they beat me in a competition? And like, yes, you want to align yourself with Comp Beast so you can all control the competitions if you're a Comp Beast. But if you're not, that is where your mind should be from the very second you walk into the house.
You shouldn't evict Amy then, right?
No,
right.
Never.
And yes, you will feel like Sisyphus because it's an impossible task. And you'll roll that boulder up a hill and then they'll go, zombie week. Actually, he's not evicted. Or, blockbuster. But you have to try. You have to try because what else are you going to do?
Try. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So we see the HOH, we see the veto competition. Veto competition, I think, not as egregious as most. I do think that Morgan wins this primarily through her puzzle strategy more than her actual physicality. Starting at the ends, going to the middle. I don't know why anybody else did anything else. The idea of like, let me just put the ones that I know are in the beginning toward the beginning and the ones that are toward the end toward the end. It's like, what is the point of that? You just place it where it goes so that you don't have to go back to it and rearrange everything again. Like that just didn't make any sense to me. So Morgan ends up crushing this one, and she of course is going to not use the veto. We do see Ava's moldy water, as I mentioned, apparently has been there for 50 days.
Has she not drinking any water in 50 days? Like,
I didn't know that it was possible to mold water, but apparently all you need to do is stick a lemon in it and let it sit for 50 days. I would have been grossed out with no lemon, no mold. I would have been like, oh, this is 50-day-old water. But hey, I guess it needed mold too.
Well, you wouldn't have known it was 50-day-old water if there wasn't any mold, right?
If I had tasted it, I would have known.
Would you have tasted it?
Why would you have tasted that?
If I opened it, I don't know, got in my mouth somehow, like
it wouldn't. What would it taste like?
I wouldn't have cared if I got 50-day-old water on my sweatshirt. I wouldn't have cared about that. I would only care if I had to drink it.
Yeah, I would very much care. What if like Ava drank a sip of that water, that moldy water? And I got like a little that little furry
Stop!
moldy
Oh my god! Chantele! Goodness.
There was something so fun. I'm happy they showed this in the episode because there's something so funny to me about Ashley like calmly walking to the kitchen as she screams. Just one of many things you can see on the live feeds if you watch on Pluto TV. Because, of course, this podcast is brought to you by Pluto TV, the exclusive free streaming platform for Big Brother live feeds, streaming live feeds all season long. I feel like this episode at the end, because they had extra time, because apparently the Ava interview didn't take as long as they thought it would. They had like so much time to just like linger on the final three as they were just like chatting. And I was like, wow, look at the casuals getting to watch live feeds for a little bit.
And look what they got though. They got a negative gold in there.
Truly. And that's the kind of stuff you can see on the live feeds, 24/7, real-time conversations, all kinds of dirty secrets about text messages that people aren't supposed to get. On Pluto TV, you have 5 different feeds to choose from. You also have on-demand episodes where you can rewatch episodes like tonight's if you want to rewatch that moment where she talks about the text, and all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you check out Pluto TV for all of your Big Brother needs.
I do like watching Pluto TV. It's actually pretty great. It's very helpful.
Me too.
All right. Well, what else do we have in this episode? Ava's speech. Vinny, if there's anything you could do for me, it would be don't contact me. And then my favorite part of that was Ashley afterward being like, did you hear the audience laugh when she said that?
It was funny.
That was the biggest laugh she got all night.
Mm-hmm.
What
It was funny.
Was that true?
100. I think it was funny because she said it with her chest and she meant it, and then she like backtracked, a little bit because I think she was like, that was kind of nuts of me. And then but I never love it. Like my least favorite exit interview trope is when Julie's like, you said blah, blah, blah in the house. Did you mean it? And someone's like, no, I was just trying to make them sweat. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, you can just say it. You can say you meant it. You can say like, yeah, I'm pretty pissed at him. I don't want to talk to him right now. Like,
it's kind of a leading question a little bit. And like that I can excuse. I think it's fair to ask. But like the reason why I think people most of the time will say no is because if somebody says, you said this, did you mean it? It's very much like, is that your final answer? Are you sure you want to say that with your chest?
And I felt like Vinny was like shocked by that. He was like, oh, me?
What? No. Don't say that.
I think he's realizing that his world is going to fall apart when he leaves that house. And it's just like everybody leaving just hates him and hates him and hates him. And he's not going to win. And he's probably lost the girl and probably lost Morgan, especially knowing that he doesn't have a job. Like, downhill for him.
I personally didn't hear any laughing. I don't know about that. Okay, fine. They were laughing. Joke's on me, like it always is.
Oh.
Wow, so easy, Chantele.
It's you, though. It's you, not actually Vince. It's you that I'm endeared to, okay? It's you.
Oh boy. So yes, that's really, we did get a bit of the argument at night between Morgan and Vince. So obviously we didn't see her make the decision to cut him. However, at the final 4, however, she was clearly, and this is confirmed in the diary room, that Ashley's conversation with her did work. It did get her thinking about whether or not she actually wants to go to the final 2 with Vince. Now, what I will say is that there have been further developments in this plot line, that they have caught on to what Ashley's doing a little bit at the very least, and have reconfirmed that they are taking each other to the final 2. But I don't know if Ava's house meeting will impact that at all. There still hasn't been like a clarifying conversation between Morgan and Ashley yet about all of that. So, Ashley working on Morgan and by extension, Vince, is still an ongoing story. But, you know, obviously the default here, the most likely outcome remains that they are still taking each other to the final two. And it would be pretty hard to find a scenario where they're not facing off in part 3 of the final 3 HOH, given the kinds of competitions that are part 1 and part 2 of the final 3 HOH. But we'll see.
If I'm Ashley, I'm moving my bed into that room where they're sleeping. I'm saying, guys, I don't want to be alone these last 3 days. I'm going to sleep in here with you.
Guys, what are you doing with a pillow barrier? Just use me.
Yeah, literally. I would be like, guys, and I would be stuck to Morgan like glue. I would be
Unfortunately,
like,
she'd never get any sleep.
but
Where's your hand going? What is happening?
stop.
I would be, you know, if I were Morgan, I'd be getting that voodoo doll out or whatever, and I would be trying to give Vince another one of those groin cramps so that he wouldn't be able to compete in the first.
Oh, can I just say?
Ow, my groin!
Can I just say that edit of
What do I
Taran
do?
reenacting the
Do I
groin?
lunge? Ow, what do I do? Morgan!
That video, that clip of you over Vince doing it, that was the biggest Vince ick for me of the entire season. Of the entire season. And I've watched that man straighten his hair every day. Okay.
I will say, and maybe it is just me, I pretty rarely laugh at my own like clips or content. I think because that wasn't strictly me. It was me like overlaid on top of Vince. I lost my mind watching. I watched it so many times. I thought it was so funny.
It was so funny.
That's like the gem that came out of this season.
Vinny the Lip will live on in many a live feed update throughout the years, I feel.
Listen, people years from now are going to be like, this guy's weird. He keeps randomly doing a voice. I don't know why he thinks it's
He's
funny.
just never leaving you, Taran. Feel bad.
Oh, don't say that.
There's this guy right now on TikTok, and his whole brand is that he mimics Hugh Jackman and the way Hugh Jackman sings. And it's like his whole thing right now. And I feel as though Taran, like this season, it's become the Vince impression has been lifted to the top because there's been very little gameplay for you to talk about. Usually it's like your hard-hitting analysis and your thoughts about how the socio-political climate is affected by the way that the house guests are interacting. But with this cast, our takeaway from Taran from the season is his Vince impression.
People are asking where I did retweet it, Blue Sky and Twitter, like a week or so. I don't remember how long, a couple weeks ago, if you can try to find it that way. But it was, I thought it was very funny. All right. Well, anything else from the episode that we should talk about?
Can I say, I thought this episode was long and a slog. I did. I was really waiting for a jury segment. I was really hopeful we would get one. And it seems it's coming tomorrow, but
Yeah,
I was really sad we didn't get one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
my takeaway.
I think it's inevitable because we had to go through two competitions. What I will say is I believe both competitions did play out in a single segment rather than dragging them out to two segments. So that was very nice. But we did get two competitions. So ultimately it was the same as if it had been one competition in two segments. But yeah, I mean, I think they did fairly decently with the content they had. And like I said, I liked the Keanu interview, and we got goodbye messages, and we even got the house meeting. So while I was
happy about that.
Yeah, while I was like a bit sleepy as I streamed myself watching this episode, I thought it was fine overall.
Yeah, it was fine, but considering it was so jam-packed, you thought that it would be a little more exciting. You know, there was so much that was going on, and it was only fine.
I mean, maybe if the competitions weren't both blowouts, they would have been
that's
a little
also
more interesting
very
to watch.
boring. Very boring. There's no like, who's gonna win it? Like, okay, so Morgan's gonna win both of those. Okay.
And that was the thing too, not to really harp on this, but like they have Morgan in the diary room being like, this is by design, that these are my competitors. It's like, yeah, designed by the producers, and it's bad design, because I don't know, it might just be me, but like, I'm not looking to watch NBA players dunk on high schoolers. Like, that's not an entertaining game to me. Like, I would prefer to watch something that is a little more competitive over and over and over.
I will say, and I'll be looking forward to this when you do like Morgan's Games retrospective.
Are you still doing that? Is there one?
Maybe
I mean, listen, if she wins, I'm sure we'll talk to her.
Okay, because like I remember, like you stopped doing them a little while ago, but like the final three and their game breakdown or whatever, and I was like, really doing it?
I was more talking about when she wins.
Okay.
But I saw someone in the chat bring up that, you know, I was saying like if you are somebody who can't really win competitions, you need to be getting out those competitors early. Somebody pointed out that like that is what Morgan did. She started winning when she got rid of a lot of those really strong competitors. And I would be really interested, like I don't have that perspective right now to like really go back and look at those evictions and know really like what her thought process was there. But I do I do think that if Riley was still in the house, I do think that if Zach was still in the house, I do think that if some of those competitors were still in the house, that like she would have a much harder time dominating these endgame competitions. So that's just an interesting perspective that I did want to bring up, because I don't want to not give her credit for that.
Oh, certainly. I mean,
yeah.
I don't mean to say that it wasn't her design also. She designed, she obviously intentionally got rid of the other competitors. What I'm saying is that is the design that the strategy that she used is one that the producers have laid out as the best way to win, which is get rid of the other competitors so that you just win everything in the end and you can't be beaten. And I personally don't think that is the most entertaining way to finish off a season of Big Brother. I think that it should be impossible to guarantee yourself a streak of endgame wins, because that's just not that interesting, especially if it happens season after season after season. But you can't knock it in terms of a strategy if it's available to you and you take it. Like, why wouldn't you? I would if I were in that house.
Absolutely. If I knew that's how it was going to go down, I'd try to like make it so that like, I'd have the best shot at winning all the end games. It kind of like Kevin Martin in Canada. He kind of broke the game over there, but at least it was a little bit more like days and stuff like that, and understanding the different types.
Well, he had to compete against Dimitri all the way through, which made that way more interesting.
Absolutely.
But that's I guess that's about it then. And nothing else from the episode?
I said my piece.
I got nothing.
Well, we will be getting a jury segment tomorrow. Tomorrow night will be the recap of the recap. And we'll get some jury segments. They also mentioned the Roundtable host is now going to be Cody Calafiori. And this will apparently, according to Sharon Tharp, be a rotating host every year now.
Okay, rotating host, but like I'm just not excited by him leading this conversation. But what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want to see Taylor, but like, here's the thing. In terms of Roundtable hosts, it's been Dr. Will and Taylor now. What I liked about both of them as Roundtable hosts is that there's already an immense bias toward comp wins when it comes to jury voting. And having Dr. Will there, not that anybody actually knew who he was, but having Dr. Will there, even having Taylor there as representatives of like winners who did not win through comp wins alone, I personally liked, and nobody has to agree with me on this, but I personally liked that as a small counterweight, a very tiny little counterweight to the idea that, well, if somebody won 10 competitions, I have to vote for them to win because, well, Taylor's sitting right there. And she's not saying that you need to account for other things other than competition wins, but her very presence is an example, a reminder that you can be a little more open-minded about that sort of thing. I personally like that about the two of them as Roundtable hosts. Cody being there, being, he won 8 competitions in the season that he won. He's known for being a comp beast. Doesn't provide that as much for me personally. I'm sure he's going to do great, to be honest. I think he's performs well when I personally think he performs well when he does these kinds of things. I think he's obviously a charismatic guy. I think he's going to do a great job hosting the Roundtable. But that piece in particular is something that I will personally miss.
I also really do enjoy, or what I really enjoyed about Dr. Will always, and Taylor did an absolutely incredible job last year, but what I enjoyed about Dr. Will was that he had won and had also been on a jury. And I think that Cody is somebody who's played twice, won once, but never served on a jury. And I feel like even if if you want to bring back a winner to do it, have Ian Terry come and do it, have Franzel come and do it, have somebody who has experience voting for a winner in that way. That's just my thought on it.
Yeah, that's a decent perspective because I would like a well-rounded kind of, winner to be hosting the Roundtable. I don't know if he's probably going to be charismatic. He's probably going to ask decent questions, but yeah, having that perspective might just needle in some of these other questions and some other perspectives and thoughts that he just doesn't have.
All right. Well, that is what we have for you then tonight. Of course, I will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update on everything that happens today or tonight. The feeds will likely come back once they complete part 1 of the final 3 HOH. It is going to be, as always, this is something that has never changed, although the physicality of it has. Very likely an endurance competition, which you would have to assume is going to go to either Morgan or Vince. And then we'll be waiting on part 2 results, but I should hopefully have the result of part 1. I think that if you want Vince and Morgan to both be competing in part 3, you're going to want Vince to win the endurance. That's his most likely chance to win. If you want Ashley to sneak in there, I think you're going to want Morgan. Obviously Ashley, but if not Ashley, you want Morgan to win this one because I think that Ashley versus Vince in part 2 will be a bit more even considering the kinds of competitions those are. So stay tuned for that. Of course, again, tomorrow night, we do have another episode, which will include bits from part 1 of the final 3 HOH, usually, as well as the recap. We'll have a jury segment as well. They stuck that in there, so you have to watch it. So I'll be streaming that live on Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon if you want to check that out. And plenty of other stuff happening tomorrow as well. Of course, the BB Q&A that I will be doing with Rob for patrons of Rob Has a Podcast. If you want to check that out, we'll be answering your questions. It'll be the final Q&A of the season. And then, of course, we've been podcasting during this episode. It's still going. The Amazing Race.
Missing it.
I know. The Big Brother Amazing Race featuring Taylor, Tucker, and Angela. And more. As Julie said on the episode. I'd be so pissed if I were Chelsea.
Chelsea, Ravina.
I only won my season that you're naming people from. But I have no idea if it's good or not yet because I haven't been watching, but hopefully it is. Tune in to the recap and find out what everyone thinks there with Rob, Mike, and Jess. And it will also be starting after this ends, or shortly after this ends. The episode will end in about 15 minutes of when we're currently recording, and then they'll do the podcast after that. And of course, Survivor premiered last night, And Rob got with Steven for the Know-It-Alls. If you have missed that, make sure you check it out. And check out Steven's book while you're at it. We've been author buddies lately. And I know he has put a lot of work and effort into it. So if you want to go and support him, check out what Steven's doing with his book. And of course, the live shows, one in New York, October 8th, and the other in San Francisco, November 5th. I will be at the one in San Francisco. If you want to come and check out a Survivor live show, tickets are available at robswebsite.com/events. And of course, this podcast was brought to you by Pluto TV. I think somebody was tweeting at me earlier today because the feeds went down for the Ava thing. And they were like tweeting at Pluto, like, hey, get the feeds back up. And Pluto apparently replied, trying to tell me what to do like Paul is wild.
Okay.
Which one of you runs that Pluto
Twitter account?
I know it's one of you guys.
I think that might have been the what is it called?
A bot?
The other place.
Oh, Blue Sky.
No, the other one.
Twitter?
Instagram?
No, the one Chat BCC. Thank you.
Oh.
That's how I know it's one of you guys. Okay, that's how I know.
This is me, professional content creator. I know my social medias. Anyway, that's all of that. Of course, as I mentioned before, check out my book, Behind the Mirror. It is about Big Brother. There's only so much. There's not much left in the Big Brother season. I've been saying this this week. You're gonna forget. This is me helping you out. If you don't do it now and pre-order now, you're gonna forget about it. And then by the time you remember, it's either not going to be a pre-order and you're going to be like, wow, I really did Taran dirty. I didn't do a pre-order to help him out. Or B, you're going to find out like next season and you're going to be so far behind. Everyone else is going to have already read it. And they're going to be like, wow, you haven't read Taran's book? Are you a casual? Oh, so make sure you order it now and check out the other stuff I'm doing. Maggie, what are you up to?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok at MLMorgan_. You can keep up with me there.
Woo.
All right. And Chantele?
You can find me at ChanFranFriend on Instagram. And also, I've been talking with Chappelle about Flavor of Love Season 2. We did go live today about episode 2 of Season 2 on his channel, Recap Kickback. So tune into that because it's a good time. I have never seen either of these seasons before, and it's my first reaction to all of it, and it's fun.
Chantele, I have been saying I really want to come and talk with you guys. I was
Yes.
8 years old watching that in my room. It's crazy.
You have to. Let's do it. You're on.
I'm in.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and we will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.